Maybe. Are we live? We are live.
We're live.
I guess we're not getting an intro. Oh, well. No, I thought we were getting an intro. So what's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are live and just having, fun mechanical issues, as so to speak. So welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday evening. Derek is back. Nick will be here in a little bit. So everybody did wish you. I don't know if you watched the stream. I'm sure you did. Everybody wished you a happy birthday last week. So that was sort of cool.
Y'all are so sweet.
So appreciate everybody that's on here tonight. Right now, Max, of course, is here. It's hump day. Yes, it is. It is Wednesday. Jarvo, 7:30 Evie, Darth Plagueis, welcome. Thanks you guys for joining us Wednesday night. We have some fun stuff to talk about. Like in my little thumbnail, we're going to talk a little bit. I'm going to get your guys' opinion as well. Is if you think we're getting 3 stories from Star Wars now, or do you think we're getting some other ones, or one just big one? So that was a lot of the talk. I was in a lot of social media stuff that's going around. So we'll wait till Nick gets here. We have a brand new, I guess, Mike, I guess you'd call it a scene from Maul.
Yeah,
30
it's
seconds.
like it's from IGN, so it's like a official clip, I guess, is what they call it.
Yeah. So we'll once Nick gets on here, he shouldn't be too late. We'll get that on there and play that for everybody. But what else is going on? Mike, let me hear your take on some of the new stuff that has popped up in the last few days. I know you talked a bunch about some stuff yesterday.
Oh yeah. What was really cool was this weekend, a lot of the news was revolving around Starfighter, because Project Hail Mary came out, which is Ryan Gosling's new movie. So he's been doing a lot of press for that. And in all the press, he gets asked about Star Wars because he's going to be in Star Wars. And he kind of unknowingly gave a lot of information away when he was trying not to, because he was asked about when Tom Cruise was on set, because we learned that Tom Cruise filmed a lightsaber duel for Starfighter, which just in and of itself is awesome. But he mentioned that it was one of the only days he wasn't on set. So when Tom Cruise shows up in a helicopter, comes in, films a lightsaber duel, he's not there. And that actually confirms a lot of very important information towards the plot of the movie, because Flynn Gray was there, and he's the other co-main character. So this was a scene that didn't involve Ryan Gosling's character, confirming what we all kind of assumed, is that he is the starfighter of the movie and not a lightsaber wielder. But somebody is, and I don't think it's Flynn Gray. So I think it's probably Amy Adams' character, who is his mom, could be Mara Jade, but and she's fighting either Mia Goth or Matt Smith with a lightsaber. So it's gonna be awesome.
Gosling and Tom Cruise just have beef in real life, and they had to keep them separate.
That's also a possibility. He's like, oh wait, Ryan's not on set today, I'm gonna fly in my helicopter.
Right, it's his helicopter. Yeah, for sure.
Go.
Jedi Order 17. Yeah, I've heard that Hail Mary is fantastic. You did see it, didn't you, Mike?
No, I didn't actually.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, I want to go see it. It made a ton of money for like a non-franchise movie. I think it's the biggest release of 2026 so far for just anything, and it's like one of the biggest non-franchise opening weekends ever. So
yeah, that's pretty crazy. I think that and I think that definitely helped, Ryan Gosling being in Star Wars. It'll help. That movie doing well is going to help Star Wars, because you're just going to have more people come on just to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Gosling is a top tier A-list actor in Hollywood right now. Like, that's to have him coming over to Star Wars. And some people have their, strong opinions about not having A-list actors in Star Wars, but it's still like, it's gonna put butts in seats, Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and Max has a good point there. Does he show up unannounced? Probably not. I mean, they probably didn't, announce it to the whole crew. I'm sure producer, director, somebody that was in charge was, found out about it, and it was kept a little bit of hush hush. And then, here we go. He shows up, and then it's like, oh my gosh, it's unannounced. But somebody's manager got a hold of somebody else's manager and said, hey, listen, Tom wants to stop by the set today.
It makes me think too that he's in the movie, not like as a character, but maybe like under a mask or an alien or something, because they've done that with the sequels a lot too. They had Daniel Craig. Yeah, he was a stormtrooper. There was a deleted scene, but Tom Hardy was a stormtrooper in The Last Jedi. So like they've done that before. Granted, there's no stormtroopers around at this point, at least to our knowledge. So he wouldn't be playing a stormtrooper, he'd play somebody else. But if Tom Cruise is on set, I guarantee you he's at least in front of the camera for a split second.
Yeah, or maybe he's like playing himself, and they're gonna tie in our world via Tom Cruise. Why not?
See,
right?
I never thought of it that way. That's a great theory.
Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Frank.
If that one comes true, I will wear the poncho for a year.
10 years. 10 years.
10 years. Don't do
Mando
that.
United, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. I'm glad you finally made it. And speaking of making it, looks like Nick's going to jump on here. There he is. And I'm going to hide your comment so Derek doesn't have to move around.
Oh,
what's up? Can you hear us?
Hey, guys.
There he is.
Hello there.
Hey.
That was good timing.
Yes. Good timing because now we get to watch the 30-second scene. That I don't know if you've seen it. I know it just came out like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So without further ado, we're gonna watch the newest Maul trailer.
Picking up reports of an unidentified shuttle seen in Sector 8J.
All available units converge on those coordinates.
Let's go! Get the credits on the ship!
It's over! Drop your weapons! I said drop them!
I guess we should do as he says.
I mean, come on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So awesome.
What do we got? 13 days left? Something like that.
We're getting so close, everybody.
See,
So
the coolest part about that is obviously the Duel of the Fates, but that's a scene from the show. So they're really diving into, I'm guessing it's the Kiner brothers again, but I'm not confirmed on that. But they're really diving into the Duel of the Fates. We heard it in the trailer, and now you're going to hear it in the show, at least in that scene in particular. And that almost seems like Maul's first appearance. I know it's his show, but like it almost seems like the opening scene might be about the police first, and then that's Maul's like entrance, which would be kind of cool. Can't help but notice the dead body laid across the credits that they're bringing in too.
Well, it's a droid.
Oh yeah, it looks like a droid too. And then I mean, just Maul's badass. He's deflecting the blasters, but he deflects them first into the ship to take it down, and then into the people. Like, so good.
Yeah, it's gonna be, I mean, insane, and that's just it. That's what we'll get into a little bit. About is there 3 different stories now that Star Wars is on the brink of telling? Are we gonna get 3 different, continue with 3 different things that are gonna keep going? Obviously, we're thinking and probably pretty sure that Maul's gonna have a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th season. Ahsoka season 2. Who knows? Could be the end. If we go with Mike's theory, which I think is pretty good, where she sort of has to stay there and keep Abeloth, in control. So that's why we don't see her in 4, 5, and 6. And then are we going to get a season 3 for that? Maybe. And then Mandalorian and Grogu. Hopefully, this is a trilogy, and it's going to bring that Mandoverse together. But I don't think it's going to bring the Ahsoka part of the Mandoverse together. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I got a lot of questions. Like, first of all, could something be tied in with having a Mandalorian in that scene? Like, is that going to tie in Maul to other shows or movies?
Yeah. I think with Dave now being the guy, a lot of stuff is going to be connected from here on out. And it is weird that Star Wars used to work in a way where when the original trilogy was coming out, the only content that we got was the original trilogy time period. When the prequels were coming out, the only content that we got was prequel trilogy content. But since then, it's kind of just gone every which way. When the time the sequels were coming out, we were getting Rebels. We were getting all these other things. And Clone Wars had ended. And then you go into The Mandalorian, which is a different time too. So will we sort of anchor down into just the Mandoverse? Maybe, but the connective pieces to like Maul, Shadowlord and stuff, they're gonna still be there, and you're gonna tell other stories at the same time. It just might be the main focus for the time being. And as Derek points out too, yeah, we're seeing Mandalorians there, and I mean, the movie is called The Mandalorian still.
I mean, yep. and plus, we know we have Mandalorians in Ahsoka.
True.
So we just have to figure out how the timelines are lined up. I can never remember. Like, I mean, it's a full-time job.
In Maul Shadowlord, we could see those types of Mandalorians, like Sabine Wren's mom or Bo-Katan. They were in Clone Wars Season 7. Sabine's mom was in Clone Wars Season 7. So they could very well be involved in this Maul Shadowlord series as well.
Mm-hmm. To your guys' point about like 3 different things, kind of 3 different, I don't know what you call it, eras happening at once.
Yeah.
I feel like this is not the first time, but we've kind of been working on that since The Force Awakens came out, like Rebels, Clone Wars Season 7, sequels, Mandalorian, all this stuff going on. I feel like we're kind of back to now this being like a regular thing where we have different things. And regardless of what happens with Maul, whether it's multiple seasons or not, I think it's going to, at minimum, inform the other shows. Like I've said before, I think it'll probably inform some past stuff too. I think it'll do something for Rebels. I just don't know what. The big question with Rebels at the time is what happened to him post getting rocked by Palpatine. And when we find him in Rebels, then we see Solo, and it said, okay, well, how did he become a crime boss in between them, and how did he get to Rebels? And now we're kind of getting the precursor. Honestly, I don't think we really know what kind of time this spans, but I think that story will live on, whether it's in Shadowlord Season 2 through 4 or whatever else animation is cooking up. I feel like animation is a really good spot right now. But more than that, I mean, shit, man, we got Starfighter in a year, which is a whole new era. So Mandoverse is not going to get wrapped up in Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka Season 2. So that's going to keep going. Yeah. We got post-sequel era starting next year. And then whatever animation's cooking up is probably going to be in proximity of, prequel to OT gap or, whatever they decide to do. I would love to explore other areas too. So I think different from the last like 10 years of things coming out, it's different in that I think we're going to have like solid footing in 3 different eras or more, rather than we have Andor here, Obi-Wan here, but they're kind of at the same general time period, like lots of things that play into the things we love, but now we're kind of building worlds in 3 different areas, which is, I think, very interesting. But
it almost seems like they're filling in the gaps, like the gap between the prequels and the originals. I mean, they have been for a while now, but it like you said, it seems like they're just setting up shop there. the prequels and the originals and sequels, and then I guess beyond the sequels with Starfighter and the Rey movie and maybe Simon Kinberg's trilogy too. But it does seem like the focus is going to be those three things for at least the next couple years. Who knows if we'll get a Book of Boba Fett season 2 or a Skeleton Crew season 2, but those would still be in the Mandoverse. A Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show would still be in the Mandoverse. And then Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Underworld, and even some episodes of Tales of the Jedi all took place right after the prequels and in between that prequel original trilogy time period. Because although we have Andor, Rogue One, and Rebels, and I guess Kenobi, those all take place way closer to the originals than the prequels. So we got to fill in this first 10 years right after the prequels had. I guess Bad Batch did that too. But yeah, maybe it's not just Maul, like you said. It could be some Tales and some other things as well. But we're definitely setting up shop in these gaps in between trilogies.
Well, and I think also that even though we might have something separate going on, I think we're still going to have some interaction in between each of these. Like we've talked about with Mandalorian and, with Thrawn being in Ahsoka, obviously he's going to have to come over. We're going to have a bad guy in Mandalorian and Grogu, I mean, besides the Shadow Council and the bald guy that's got Grogu in a cage. I think it has
I still don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. Telling you.
He's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
You don't know. Maybe Grogu's in there for a reason. He looks pretty calm.
Yeah.
Well, Grogu could get out of that pretty easily. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you think, R2?
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. What a show off.
R2 is friends with Grogu, so he would know.
Exactly.
True.
Ron, how's the new studio going for you, buddy?
Looks good.
It's coming. It's coming. Little tweaks here and there. I still don't have like anything up because we were in Vegas this weekend for a wedding, which was, it's Vegas, so I didn't get much done, and got back late Tuesday or late Monday. So it was funny because my wife was like, "Oh, you got your podcast tonight," and I'm like, "No, that's tomorrow." And she's like, "It's Wednesday." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess it is tonight."
Oops.
Yeah. I think, and let me know your guys' opinion on this as well. Do you think that the fans are going to be okay with these different things? We have obviously super fans or nerds like us, and then you have the normie fans, and obviously the Mandalorian and Grogu is going to pop off. But I don't think that in the normie world, and I hope I'm wrong, that we're going to get too many people into the mall, switching over to watch. I just was, who was I listening to? I was listening to somebody, and they were talking about, oh yeah, I got to get Apple such and such, because this show's coming out. I don't think people are going to go get Disney Plus for Maul. Ahsoka, probably more. But again, guys like us, we already have Disney Plus, because when I want to watch Empire, or when I want to watch A New Hope, or I'm watching Andor season 2 again right now, I can, and I just put it on. So those are the things I think that they will get. I think they'll probably get it beforehand, because I think that Mandalorian and Grogu, once it leaves the theater, I think it'll almost immediately come to Disney Plus, which will be cool. But we'll have all seen it probably 3 or 4 or 10 times in the theater before it leaves.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, you said,
yeah.
I think the original question was, will Star Wars fans have a problem with this? Star Wars fans have a problem with everything. So it's like the old saying, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Mhm.
But I think, Ron, I think you said it right. Like, the normie fans are going to watch what they're going to watch. They're going to watch Mando and Grogu, and that's probably all they're going to watch. Like, they might not even watch Ahsoka, and they're definitely not going to watch Maul. But I think, like, the average fan is going to be fine. But then us, like, super fans, we're just going to be so happy. We're going to be the happiest nerds in the world. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I think
because there's so much coming out. That's what I think we're going to be super excited about.
Yeah. I think there's a bridge to, like, more casual fans too with Shadow Lord, more than, say, if like Bad Batch were coming out right now.
Yeah.
Like, people that aren't like us definitely didn't watch Bad Batch, and that's okay. It was great, but like, anytime I've brought it up to someone who's, more of a casual fan, they literally haven't heard of it. Whereas like Shadow Lord, at least has like the marketability of an iconic character that even like most casual fans think Maul is sick. So like
Yeah.
there might be a saving grace there, but I agree. I don't think it's gonna, pump subscriptions to Disney Plus. I do kind of, I haven't jumped on your guys' 2 billion bandwagon for the Mandalorian and Grogu, and one of the reasons
Fine to
is,
be wrong. It's okay.
yeah, I hope you're right. But one of this is like a weaker reason why, but if they do, Ron, if you're right and they do send it to Disney Plus quicker than we think, then I think the casual fans would hold off and get Disney Plus for that rather than go to the theater. But people like us are going to see it enough times to make up for that. But I'm just saying, like, I think
I'm
they
not
would
seeing
wait.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look how long they've kept Fire and Ash off of Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
They
think
want that
you'll-
money and they know they're going to get
Is
it
it still
now.
in the theaters?
No, it's on rental now, and it should be on Disney
Okay.
Plus soon.
Well, and I'm not saying it's going to come right out. I mean, but I think it's definitely going to be in there. I would say probably 3 months. I think
Would you say-
it'll trail off to the 7:20 showing once a night or something instead of every single theater being booked out.
Do you think they would? I know we're kind of getting off topic, so I'm sorry to ask, but do you think it would benefit them to time it's at least like a rental thing on Disney Plus when Ahsoka comes out to try to pump Ahsoka?
I was
Yeah.
going to say the exact same thing. I think they will release it on Disney Plus, like either a week before or a week after to pump Ahsoka season 2, because it would be around that time, so you might as well utilize it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so for sure.
Well,
and-
going back-
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, going back to the whole Maul Shadow Lord of it all, like Nick just said, way more people are going to go watch Maul Shadow Lord, even normie fans, because of the Maul name rather than Bad Batch or Rebels. I think Bad Batch is such a great show, but the best part about it is like it doesn't fully answer like the somehow Palpatine returns, but it definitely helps with the Project Necromancer and everything. So now, like when you have people who go, oh, what about the somehow Palpatine returns? You go, oh, well, did you watch the Bad Batch? And then they go, no. And then you're like, well, you're missing out on a great show. But Maul has more of a pull just because of Maul and how badass he is. And he's already been in live action a couple times, and he's already had this incredible story. And his story's already ended, but still, he's already been around long enough. It's like making the Book of Boba Fett to an extent, where it's a legacy character that fans know and love. He's got a cool look to him. He's barely said a couple words in the movies, and then he dies in the movies. It's very much a Book of Boba Fett scenario here, but it's
Absolutely.
not live action. So people, yes, it's still animation, but even like I was showing some of my friends the trailer, and they don't watch any of the animation, and they're like, "Can I watch this without watching anything else?" I'm like, maybe. I don't know, but that's sort of the appeal to it. Like people want more Maul, and I think more normie fans will be drawn to this show than other animated shows before.
I will say too, to your point about, I've had the same conversations with people who, it's a daunting task to think of like, what all do I have to watch to
Yeah.
enjoy this thing? And I do think they have been doing a pretty good job, whether it's animation or live action, of making that somewhat negligible. Like it is deeply enhancing to have seen everything, obviously, but I do think you could start Ahsoka and get a general vibe of what's going on and not feel like crazy lost if you just want to enjoy that story. The difference is like we're thinking in the context of all of Star Wars when we watch it. So, that's a big deal, but I have a feeling that you could, like even the Bad Batch, I think you could just queue it up and enjoy it for what it is without having to know a lot.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Maul's that way only because it's 10 episodes and we've all kind of predicted it's going to get right to the point. And it's, especially if you've seen the movies and it's Maul and it's after the movies, you might think it's before. It's like, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
to that point too, like Star Wars has been so good, and you brought up Ahsoka specifically, but has been so good at keeping it simple enough for everybody to follow, but also not dumbing it down. And that's a very hard line, a tightrope to go across. And they do it so well, especially in recent past, like Ahsoka, like The Mandalorian. Like, there's no, I guess for Ahsoka, there was like an opening crawl type thing. But for Mando, you're just thrown into the mix. And you kind of just got to figure out when and where you are and what's happening. But it's not dumbing it down for people, and it's not making it too regurgitating all the information over and over and over again. Like, oh, Vader just died a couple days ago, this, that. Like, you have a random side character come in and tell you all the information. Like, it doesn't dumb it down, but it also, you can watch anything and everything and still have it make sense. Like Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew is this great show. You don't have to watch literally any Star Wars ever to understand what's going on in that show and enjoy it.
And are we ever going to get season 2? We're not, are we?
I mean, if
Skeleton
we are, it'll
Crew?
be announced this year or next year.
I feel like if we were like making bets right now, I would bet on it being integrated into Mandoverse stuff before I would bet on a season 2 right now. Because I kind of thought,
you think we'd see characters from that show in one,
or
of
at
these
least like
before?
At-Atten being a part of it, or whatever. But I kind of thought, because all of us really like Star Wars fans loved it, and so I kind of thought we'd get like a renewal message on
Right away.
Yeah, right away, and we still haven't gotten it. So,
It's not fair. It's not fair
Yes, I don't know
at all. It was so good. It's so good. There's so much story still there. Like, we need it.
Things could change very quickly, though, because, I mean, for all we know, we could see one of those characters show up in Ahsoka season 2 or something, and then it sets up a Skeleton Crew season 2. But I think I'm on Nick's side here. I think it's more likely you'll see those characters in something else than a second season.
Yeah, I'm gonna address a couple of these things. I think, Max, I think I'll have to disagree with you about the 2% normies will remember Maul. I think a lot of people will remember Maul, and I think this show will help them look a little bit more into Star Wars when they see that he actually has his own show. So that's my opinion on that. April, the Tales show, we don't have a confirmation. I would not be surprised if we get a Tales this year.
We might,
if not for sure next year. But
we might be discussing that in an activity later, so stay tuned.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Oh.
All right. And then what did Zima had to say something? Oh, I think season 2. There's no date yet or anything, right, Mike? They just haven't put anything out for Ahsoka season 2.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm not even going to say that, but said something about August.
Now you have to.
Lanterns comes out on HBO in August, I guess. So that'll be interesting. But I don't think that's going to be any competition for Ahsoka.
Ahsoka season 1 came out, I think, around the same time as a House of the Dragon season 2. So it's not like they've run away from HBO shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think
a little bit different market. I mean, a lot of crossover, but on the same token, not.
And at the same time, like right now, I mean, I watch too much TV, but right now we're getting Daredevil Born Again for a bunch of superhero nerds out there. Daredevil Born Again week to week, starting yesterday. Invincible season 4 starting last week. The Boys starts this week. So a bunch of superhero shows are coming out all at the same time right now. Maul starts in 2 weeks. So all those shows are coming out at the same time. And it's not like, oh, I have to watch this and this and this. It's hype because I get to watch like every single day of the week is a new episode of a show, and people are excited about that. So I think if that's the same case with Lanterns and Ahsoka season 2, it'll only boost both shows rather than hurt either of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to get, we have a lot of stuff coming out this year.
2026 is crazy, not just for Star Wars, because for Star Wars it's crazy, but just in general,
with both the Avengers and Spider-Man, with some of the I don't want to get off topic, but Spider-Man looked freaking
I mean,
awesome.
I feel like they're all cousins. Like if you like Star Wars, you probably you probably like the Avengers, and you're a nerd like us. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. So there's not much besides that scene, which is pretty cool. And I know Mike had talked about a couple different things, but we don't have a ton of new stuff that's groundbreaking, I don't think.
Before you move on, I got one thing. There was a Mando TV spot this week, and it had like 2 or 3 very short news scenes. One of them had a B2 battle droid in the Hutt's throne room, the Twin Hutt's throne room, which is cool. But the other one is, my new theory is that Embo's dog, who's also by the way named Marok, a little confusing, not the Inquisitor, the giant dog. My new theory is he's going to eat one of the Anzellans, one of Babu Frick's people. So,
of course you hope for death.
I don't hope for it. No.
He's counting on it.
Yes, I'm counting on my fingers how many Anzellans there are, and in some scenes there's 4, and in some scenes there's 3, and then there's this weird scene where the two of them, or all of them, come face to face with this giant wolf-looking creature. So I just assume he's going to eat one of them.
Would you bet a poncho on it?
Possibly.
Speaking of that, let's watch it. Right? Might as
You
well.
got it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
He's got it.
I think this is the one that you were talking about.
Gangsters, warlords, monsters. They're coming for us.
Are you scared? You should be.
Let's go!
The Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters of IMAX May 22nd.
Yeah.
I love when he bangs on his helmet like that. He's like, yo, let's get the F out of here.
Yeah. It's so great.
Hey, go ahead.
Well, no, so in that trailer we just saw that Din Djarin is holding all 4 Anzellans and like running or something. But when we see the Anzellans with Grogu, in like a speeder, in one of the other trailers, in a speeder going across Navarro or some sort of whatever, it's just 3 of them, and they go face to face with that giant wolf-looking creature in the trailer. So one of them's going to be eaten alive. And people came at me. They were like, Mike, Disney wouldn't do that. I was like, are you kidding me? Disney kills Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, Kanan Jarrus. Like,
and
have you seen Rogue One? Have you seen Rogue One? Oh yeah, and porgs. Yeah.
There is a little bit of Star Wars news. It was pretty small though. Is that John Boyega supposedly is talking with Lucasfilm, with Filoni, about a return to the franchise.
Yeah, he said he got on the phone with him. He said it was at MegaCon, so he was on stage and he was asked about it, and he said that he's talked with Dave Filoni, which, first and foremost, Dave's been in office or been a president or whatever you want to call it of Lucasfilm for like 2 months.
I like that. Let's keep that.
He's been in
his office for like 2 months, and he's already gotten in touch with John Boyega. Like, this guy's the GOAT. Like, what more could you say?
Yeah, and what does that look like? Does he want to come back to a movie? Because I didn't see the clip; I just saw the news article.
That's all he said.
Okay. Yeah, so you have to wonder, like, would he potentially come back to another movie? Is it going to be animated? Is it going to be a whole nother character? I could see that happen too. They've done that before.
Yeah, they did it with Kino Loy and Andy Serkis. I think the redemption I want is Finn. I need to see Finn as a Jedi. That's all I want, really.
Could this mean they're talking about Ben Solo?
Probably.
Yeah.
My only thing with that is, and that's why when I watch your podcast, I'm like, I can't say anything on there with John Boyega. If the assumption is correct and he is a Jedi, he's going to have to have a master. And is that going to be Rey? And are we just going to like skip to it and do a little 2-sentence segment? All of a sudden he's got all these powers. Because I don't think, but I don't think he showed enough to, I don't know. Do you really do you think he's a Jedi, Mike?
Yes, I think the whole Force Awakens is the Force Awakening in Finn, and I think that the entire the whole Rise of Skywalker thing where he's trying to tell Rey a secret is him being Force sensitive. Now, he doesn't use the Force at all in these sequels, which I think was a huge missed opportunity. But again, the whole thing was a huge missed opportunity. A Stormtrooper turns Jedi is like the coolest arc ever, and they just didn't complete it yet. So if we bring him back and we can complete that, that'd be fan-freaking-tastic. Now, the only place, and it's not really canon because it's a Lego holiday special thing, but there was a Lego holiday special thing like 5 years ago that was for Christmas or the holiday season, I suppose, where they come across, it's Rey and Finn post-sequels, finish training with Rey, and they've come across like this time travel device thing that it's not canon, obviously, but the opening of it is the two of them training together, and Rey is pretty much his master, I guess, because she has more experience than he does. But
I think it'd be more interesting for Finn to like have to choose, because you're right, Ron. I feel like the only person who could give any knowledge right now who's around it would be Rey, or if anyone's like super old, left over, before yeah. But like, they're entering an era where he would kind of be in a similar situation that Poe was just in, or Han Solo was in, where you go from, you have to kind of grow out of being a total hero all the time and be a leader or be something. And I could see Finn, you kind of having to drop the soldier thing to actually devote himself to feel out his powers or whatever, if that's the case. And he can't have one foot in the other. And I could see him struggling through a whole movie trying to decide. I mean, kind of like Sabine just did in Ahsoka season 1.
I was thinking the exact same thing,
you have to be okay with it. He's going to be cool either way. I could see that being like more interesting than showing up to the movie and Finn's like halfway there and like full on Jedi. We didn't get to see it,
Is it Finnegan? I don't know how you say it. Said Old Republic themed animated show should come out early April, not Maul. There's saying Maul's story's been shown. I disagree. I want that too. Don't get me wrong. I really, really want that. I've got tattoos of Revan, but I also have a Maul tattoo. So I think that this story is going to be really unique, and I'm really excited for a different viewpoint, especially as the animated series kind of started to dive into more of that underworld and Hondo and different characters like that. I'm really looking forward to it. Plus, Maul's my favorite character.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
good.
we all want the Old Republic at some point, but there's plenty of Maul story to be told, and it's going to be more than just Maul in this series. Although he's the title character, we're getting a lot more than just him. But going back to what Nick was just talking about with John Boyega and Finn's character in particular, was it Jedi Jarvo just said in the chat, he's thinking like a leader. We just saw Andor through 2 seasons go from being just a guy who accidentally murders 2 corpos to a rebel and to a leader of the rebellion. And that growth happening over 2 seasons is like one of the best stories ever told. And we have a bunch of other characters involved in it. But if we got something along those lines with Finn becoming a Jedi, like having to take that drastic step that Cassian does to join Luthen and join the rebellion, but have Finn do that with joining Rey and learning to wield the Force and all that, that would be so unbelievably cool. It'd be like Andor, but with the Force, because everybody says Andor is like Star Wars, but without the Force. It's like Andor, but with the Force.
Yeah.
So I would love something like that.
And it'd be different. Like, you wouldn't necessarily be asking Finn to save the universe like we're asking of Luke through his, but there's a lot of fertile ground there. I mean, I don't know how deep they'd go into this, but I'm sure Finn and Rey have their own disagreements on Ben Solo / Kylo Ren and who that guy really is. That would be very interesting. That might be a linchpin of issues for their training to get all these things are a really interesting playing ground, but we never got it, and maybe we won't. Who knows?
Well, one of my favorite things about what a possible post-sequel world could look like is that Rey is still a Palpatine, and it's not that that just leaves her ever. She still has that inside of her. She still saw that evil side of her, in The Last Jedi and in The Rise of Skywalker, there is that Palpatine blood coursing through her veins. So I would love for, like you just said, some disagreement to happen, and it ends with the two of them actually fighting. It's not like one goes fully dark side like a Vader, but there's just a disagreement there, and they end up actually fighting each other, which would be awesome. But to your point, I'm actually making a what if video right now about Ben Solo and all this stuff, and a big part of it is that argument of Finn watches as Kylo Ren just slaughters thousands. Well, he watches in particular the opening scene of The Force Awakens, him just slice down Lor Santeca, and he's got the blood across his helmet, like he realizes all the horrible things he's done and what Kylo Ren has done, and he doesn't want him to come back. But Rey, of course, has a very different opinion on that. She's in love with the guy and all this other stuff. So it would make for a really good story.
And it's a story that, already kind of happened. Like, if anyone's cracked into some Bloodline, the novel, like Leia is not cool with the fact that Vader's her dad, is not cool with Luke's story. She has only seen evil Darth Vader and loathes him and hates the fact that, and hides it from everybody until it comes out. Like, Finn got his spine sliced open by the guy, watched him do everything Mike just said. The idea that like Rey's like, oh, he actually turned out to be a good guy would be hard for Finn to handle, even although he trusts Rey with everything in his life. So I don't know, but it's also interesting ground that, like, what does the galaxy look like? They're probably not going to try round 3 of a one galaxy government.
Not with that attitude, they're not.
The Jedi, if they're smart, aren't going to be involved in like serving whatever that is. The Resistance is probably going to remain its own thing, but serve whoever. It's not like all the bad guys just go away. They just we see it over and over again. They fragment around. So I could see the issue being like Poe being a little more of a leader, Finn kind of becoming a Poe, but also trying to be a Jedi, having to figure out like where they stand. And then I don't know, in the world of Starfighter, like what villains we get out of that, but it could make for really interesting, like conflicts that don't necessarily make Poe, Finn, and Rey bad guys or evil, but there's conflict on like how you deal with this new responsibility. It's all scary but great when you're the underdog and just fighting for your life. But then what do you do?
Well, I agree that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, imagine that Starfighter makes Rey and Finn look like the bad guys. Imagine if like they're like the somehow, some way, Rey is taking out some people because she thinks they're the bad guys, but it's really Amy Adams' character in Flynn Gray's home or something, and it like makes them look like the bad guys. That would be something else. Well, to your point too, I think the reason we're getting the Mandalorian and Grogu first before Dave Filoni's movie or before even Ahsoka season 2 is because there's some sort of setup there. In the same way, I think we're getting Starfighter before the Rey movie. The two movies may not be as connected as we want them to be, but there's a reason that Starfighter has to come out before the Rey movie because there's some sort of setup there, whether it's the villain or the heroes or both. There's some sort of setup there,
or just building the world out with the scaffolding to give you an idea of where things are at. Derek, what were you going to say?
I was going to say Mike had an interesting thing with Finn and all the bad things he did, but wasn't that like the first real battle he was in? Because wasn't he in Custodial before that?
Yeah.
So I'm like, did he do some bad things? Yeah, he probably threw away some papers on Kylo Ren's desk that he wasn't supposed to, and like he didn't take out the trash. Like Kylo Ren was probably a real jerk to him. He was kind of a bully. Could you imagine? That'd be a really fun show to watch. Like a nice spoof
High
of
school
Kylo Ren just like picking on him.
Star Killer High School.
I'd watch that.
Would be so awesome.
To a point you made earlier about Finn, I just wanted to agree with you for a second. I do think The Force Awakens indicates Finn waking up. I feel like they kind of infer that it happened to a lot of people, including Rey, and including Jannah, who we meet in Rise of Skywalker, who says all of a sudden we all just kind of woke up and laid down our arms. So, and obviously the big Snoke line that we saw even in like the first trailer, that there's been an awakening. I feel like that is also something we didn't really tackle. That could be sort of like a historical moment in the saga that could be, I don't know, dived into.
Oh, I like that a lot. No, I love that.
Right? Like what the hell was that? And I think there's a lot of fertile ground to like really give him, someone in here said, to give him another crack at it. I absolutely agree. I think there's a lot more we could do.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, and I really love that theory. Freddie Prinze Jr., who voices Kanan Jarrus, had this interview where he's talking about how the Force dictates how all things happen in the galaxy, and you can look at it that way. You can look at it different ways. So in terms of like Palpatine, everybody goes to the Palpatine and Plagueis trying to make this powerful being, and I guess the Force, to rebut that, creates Anakin Skywalker. And instead of killing Anakin Skywalker, Palpatine knows that the Force will just create another, so he makes Anakin Skywalker come to the dark side. I would love the Force itself to actually awaken, and not just in one or two people, but across the galaxy, like you said, and even across people who aren't Force users, like Jana. Is it Jana?
I think
I think so. Yeah. From the Rise of Skywalker, that would be awesome. Like Order 66 is this dreadful event. Like that is an awakening event to combat Snoke in the Rising First Order and Kylo Ren in the darkness, and now Luke's gone and there's really no light anymore in the galaxy. To combat that, you have Finn awakening, Rey awakening, and all these other people across the galaxy. That would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Agreed.
And that already happened, but we didn't really talk about it, like,
yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
But, I think there would be an opportunity to do, do you guys think you'd have to do like episodes 10, 11, 12 if we dove into these characters, or can we just keep on the series and, individual movie train? Like if you wanted to make a movie where we see Finn and Rey and all them, is that episode 10 and it's the saga continues, or can we just stay on this ride that we've been on since 2019?
I'll take that one. I think my opinion is if they do this Rey movie, they bring Finn back, or possibly even Ben, I think that they would do a trilogy, because like we've all talked about before, Star Wars, that's what it is. I mean, I know we've gotten Solo and we've gotten Rogue One and things like that. We have all this other awesome stuff, but the movies it was trilogy, a couple movies, but then another trilogy. I think that this Mando, could turn into a trilogy possibly, but if they bring Rey, Finn, Poe, anybody like that back, I think that would be 10, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have those three core members, or two, but if you bring Rey, you're going to have to bring Finn and Poe for sure, and now hopefully Ben back. And I think that you would have enough information and enough stuff going on that you could do 3 movies, because you could have Rey's Jedi Order. You could have, there's a whole bunch of different things that we could do with these three movies, or a trilogy for 10, 11, and 12. So my opinion is, if they do that with the Rey movie, that will be a trilogy.
Sometime after, our big 2026 in Star Wars, we'll have to do an episode on all that, because all that might be actually really relevant a year from now when Starfighter is coming out. Like we'll be entering that whole world, and it's hard to exist in that world. Like you said, Ron, it's hard to exist in that time frame without even mentioning those people or what happened, right? Like it seemed like everyone in the galaxy came to Exegol, a place no one could find to win this war. I would think if you're a guy who's flying a starfighter, you would know about that, so.
Well, you think so.
Yeah.
Well, to that point too, like as much as they want us to believe that Starfighter is a standalone movie and brand new characters, even with brand new characters, they're going to be embedded in the Star Wars lore and the story from there on out. So, like, this isn't the first and last time we're going to see Flynn Gray and Ryan Gosling in Star Wars. They're going to continue to show up, like just like Rogue One characters, even though they all die at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. We still got a ton of Andor prequel stuff and all that, and continuations of some other characters in other places. But Solo as well. We've been waiting for Kira to return for years. She showed up in comics too. She might even show up in Maul Shadow Lord. So whenever these guys appear on screen in a year from now or a year and 2 months from now, we'll be speculating about when we'll see them next, like immediately, because that's going to be extremely important.
And to Teague O'Neill's point here, I'll pull it up. There's a lot on the shelves for that general time period from the expanded universe and Legends that you can kind of work in the way that we've worked Thrawn into things, or Maul back into things. But also, I would submit, Mike, you've said it before, that the Mandoverse stuff could easily end up setting up, your adversaries for a post-sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Right. It could easily kind of, help us bounce over the sequels with whatever we have to deal with next, especially when we're dealing with an entirely new galaxy in the Mandoverse,
Yeah. Well, they didn't set up the Grisk as such a great threat in the Thrawn trilogy for no reason. Like, that's got to be something that plays out. Yeah. 6 books. It's all about these guys and how badass they are and how scared Thrawn is of them and how he tries to warn the Emperor time and time again. Like, that has to eventually become something. Maybe it's post sequels, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on, Tim? Thanks for joining us. Nick, you weren't on. Mike's got to get out of here in a little bit. So if you got some stuff, let's do it. Let's throw it out there and see what we got, because it'll probably go over the time.
That's
all right.
How much time you got, Mike?
Like 20 minutes, 25
right.
30 seconds.
All right. First thing, April already brought it up earlier. We've got 3 big projects coming, right? We got Maul first, which we're kind of in Maul mode right now. Mando second. Ahsoka third at some point. I'm guessing kind of August-ish. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm betting on a Tales series. I think we'll get a Tales. We've had a pretty steady buffet of Tales, like in conjunction with other big things coming out. If I recall, they usually say Tales is coming out and it's on next week. Like it's pretty quick thing. It's not a long time wait. So I guess number one is, do you think we'll get a Tales this week or this year? And what would you, just off the top of your head, all of you guys, what would you like to see in a Tales? Because to set you guys up, like my dreams were answered. My preference would have been a Dooku thing, because I think he's very interesting and underexplored, and that's immediately what we got. But I didn't know that I wanted to see, or that I even could see, that Ahsoka's training specifically trained her to survive her season 7 thing, or that Morgan Elsbeth was a cool thing that I didn't even want or care about, So like, I guess, what would you want to see in a Tales? Just one of those 3 episode arcs.
Well, we're not going to get one, but if we did, I'd want to see Mace Windu.
What about him? Like, is it
when he comes back?
Okay.
No. I would love to see like his training and really like kind of where he got to be on the Jedi Council. But yeah, that's what I want.
I kind of am going towards Derek when saying that there probably won't be one this year. The only reason I say that is because for the last 2 years, they've come out on May the 4th, and May the 4th is going to be the Maul finale. So, and you have later on in this year, the spinoff of Visions, the Ninth Jedi or whatever it's called. So maybe not this year, definitely next year, but either way, whenever the next Tales comes out, they haven't really been doing like season 2s. I thought we'd get a season 2 of Jedi by now, but we haven't. So I'd say like Tales of the Bounty Hunter would be great. Maybe some Boba Fett or Cad Bane. We just got Cad Bane, but that was the underworld. Maybe Tales of the Sith, but I don't know what they would do with that. Like who they would follow and why they would follow. Like there needs to be a purpose to it, like you were saying. So I don't really know. I'd go Bounty Hunters, and I'd say it comes out either the end of this year, like November, or next year.
That's
Ron?
pretty fun. Well, I mean, I'm almost going to say the exact same thing as Mike. I think, and the reason why for the bounty hunters, first of all, I think they're cool as hell. There's so many of them to explore. We've explored a bunch of, as you guys know, a bunch of Bosk, which is cool, and his species. But I was finishing up, and I thought I did already, but I was finishing up Derek and mine's favorite book, and there was a really cool, some of the stories in there. One was Dangar, so I think those would be cool. I don't think. I'm sure we'd probably get a Boba Fett in there. I don't think we need a Boba Fett story. I think we've got that. I'd love to have one, but I'd love to see some other stuff. Forlom, IG-88, different things like that. Maybe some of their adventures or how they got into the guild or something like that. So I think those would be cool. And yeah, because we're probably not going to get season 2s, I don't think. If we do, that would be awesome, because we could explore so many Tales of the Jedi. I mean, how many Jedi could we go back and talk about and have really cool stories with. But I think the next one probably would be the bounty hunters, and same thing, depending on when we do get Ahsoka and how long it is what I would venture to say how they will measure if they're going to bring something out in November or December, to keep everybody interested through the holidays. Because if Ahsoka comes out, October, September, if we're eight, weeks into it, and it doesn't end to the end of October, then probably not. But I think if it comes out earlier, and maybe it's only a 6 episode season, something like that, then we might get something for a little, Thanksgiving, Christmas surprise that they drop for us to keep everybody anticipating Starfighter for next year, along with Celebration, things like that. But because I don't think if we don't get one this year, I don't think it would come out next year on May the 4th, just because we have Star Wars Celebration, which I know it's not May the 4th, but there's some other things that are right there. And I don't think they're not going to not give us anything from the end of Ahsoka to Starfighter or to Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get something between now and next May.
I actually got a secondary option for me. I would, if we're going season 2s, it's a Tales of the Jedi, I guess, but you could call it really anything, Tales of the Order 66, whatever. I think, like Nick was mentioning earlier about how they connect to things, like we got Ahsoka season 1, and then we got Morgan Elsbeth's story, and it made that character a little bit cooler. I think we get Maul, Shadow Lord, and Ahsoka season 2, and then they go back and tell us how Baylan Skoll and Devon Izara, this new Twilight girl, survived Order 66.
Like that.
I also have an honorable mention, and that would be Tales of the Chist.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that.
I mean, we do.
Yeah. I know he's not technically Chiss, but just throw in the little Eli Vanto there. That'd be nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm right there with you guys on a couple of those, but the one that I was, when I came up with the question, the one that got in my mind is I would love Tales, including Jango Fett for half of it. Who he is.
Yeah.
Now we have this like supposed lore that he's a Mandalorian foundling.
Yep.
That they didn't want to associate with him, that he's the, baddest ass in the galaxy. He gets hired, meets Tyrannus, all this kind of stuff. I think that would be cool and could kind of like provide more than enough in a Tales series where we are good. Like, cool,
Yeah.
we got the Jango Fett thing. Because even the Cad Bane stuff, I love me some Cad Bane, but in his, I was like, cool, I know Cad Bane now, more than when he's a old dude,
Yeah.
But that makes a lot of sense about the release. I tend to think, even though I love Visions, that Visions would get even less views than Maul,
100%.
And at which point, like, between the Vision stuff and whatever comes next would probably be a more likely place for Tales. But then to your point earlier on, like, I'm trying to think how to say it. Could you make a Tales for something that tees up Starfighter the way that some of the other Tales things have teed up either like the Bad Batch or, it's tough because they've been after the fact, Asajj is back in the Bad Batch and then we got her Tales after.
Yeah.
So
Tales of Luke's wife.
yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
Well, I think also would be cool, and then I know Mike's on board for this, but Luke's Jedi Temple.
mhm.
That I think that would be a badass story, but
Yeah.
it would be
I think that
interesting
needs
to be a series.
I think yeah, more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, or even something on the path would be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of
Yeah.
left that alone too.
Yeah.
Or Quinlan Voss, that would be a cool little. You could do a
Yes.
15-minute on him and sort of introduce him as well. So
Or
I thought that
Cal
would be-
Kestis.
Yeah. And I meant to, last time we were all on the stream, we were talking about Cal Kestis maybe coming in, right?
Yeah.
And I
There it is.
I forgot to mention that, like, do you think that Ventress's Tales series was more to like tie up the loose end for Bad Batch or to keep her in your mind for later? In which case, like, could we see? I think we could easily see her in Maul compared to Cal. I love Cal Kestis. I think it's way more likely to see her in Maul than Cal
That's
Kestis.
actually not what I thought you were going to say. That you're going to say
Oh.
it was to set her up to be in Jedi 3.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that whole time period, she could kind of plug and play.
Yeah.
Given that Tales kind of gave her a totally open end,
Yeah.
Or maybe we could get
Well-
Tales of one of the characters from Acolyte. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
An
Yeah,
hour and 2 minutes.
Yeah.
An hour and 2 minutes.
Someone said that already in here. Who was it?
Chimera.
Max Rebo.
Oh,
Yeah, there
I
you
didn't
go.
see that.
Um,
Usually I look over anything Max Rebo says, anyways. Just kidding. Love you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was good. So Derek, can I send you a poll question?
Oh, can you?
Let's put up a poll.
All right.
Because Mike has to go soon. So
Yeah, yeah.
right.
kind of piggybacking off of the Tales thing, it's kind of similar, but
What do you got?
post Starfighter, and I guess, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really know what kind of, like, even though we're talking about 3 different veins of Star Wars eras being worked on right now, we don't know the extent yet, right? We know that we're entering the next year or 2 of it, but we don't know the extent. So I'm thinking in terms of a series, whether it's live action or animation. It seems like these series, and especially in the last 5 years that we're getting, tend to enhance eras of Star Wars or trilogies of Star Wars. Obviously, the Clone Wars is probably the biggest example and most obvious example. So I wanted to know from you guys, and Derek will put up the poll here in a second, but which era in Star Wars would you like to see the newest series kind of enhanced? So prequel era, original trilogy, sequel trilogy, or anything else. Because, Andor's come to a close.
Yep.
Kenobi, I'm sure we would all love a season 2. Ron and I would love a season 2. Haven't heard anything. There's
All right,
going to
poll
be
is up.
all right. And there's going to be at some point in the next, I don't know, 2 years where we don't know, like, what the new thing is as far as a series goes.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, what era would you like to see it enhance, even if it's something we're already working on. But what do you guys think? What are you most interested in?
I honestly would like the sequels. As much as the sequels of all the eras are my least favorite, I think it not, I guess, needs the work, but needs the work. I think it needs the help. Specifically before the sequels. I mean, I like the idea of Starfighter and all the concepts we talked about the Rey movie today were great, but before the sequels of those maybe 10 years before the sequel, like Andor and Rogue One filled in those 10 years, and Rebels filled in those 5 to 10 years before the originals. Those are very important years. I mean, when Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren destroyed Luke's Jedi Temple, I want to see that, and I want to see Luke go into hiding and Snoke's rise to power. Like, so if I was in charge for the next series, I'd go a series. I mean, live action would be damn near impossible, so I go animated. But animated series of leading up to the sequel trilogy.
Got it. I'd go other. Two choices, of course. I already hinted at with Tales. I would love something with the Chiss and the Grist and all of the things that have to do with Thrawn and his area. But I would love Old Republic. I need it. I want it. I need it. Oh baby. Oh baby.
Yeah. That's why I threw other on there.
That's my other.
It's interesting because that would be the freest but biggest undertaking. Like, you know, you'd have to just start it, but once it gets started, man, it could go forever. You know,
forever. Yeah. Well, they already have the remake, the KOTOR remake in the works, which we just got an update like last week about that it's still happening and still in very active development. And we just got the announcement of the Fate of the Old Republic new game, and that's unconnected, but a spiritual successor. So we're already getting, at least in the video game realm, some Old Republic content. Now, those games probably won't come out for another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or a million years, but it's on the horizon, at least that era coming eventually.
Just make them open world, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Just make Red Dead Redemption 2 Star Wars. Come on.
It'd be
That's what we
unbelievable.
want.
Yeah.
Or hey, if there's any really, really talented modders out there, just mod Red Dead.
Actually, I don't know if Red Dead is no, a ton of games have been modded to Star Wars, and there was this big thing with Fortnite, actually, that they just now you can customize your own like Star Wars game and everything. So you're gonna see a bunch of cool video game stuff from Star Wars in the somewhat near future.
Oh, I agree. Bring back Star Wars Galaxies. Yes, yes.
It's funny because I'm going to agree with Mike again.
Oh.
I got to have more on the sequels. Same thing. The sequels they're good. I love it all, but I need some more information on some of this stuff that's going on. Like we've talked about many times, the novel Shadow of the Sith definitely helped me enjoy those 3 more, but to get a little bit more of some backstory on some of this stuff, because the biggest problem for me is still the whole Luke thing. I want to know what happened, because he just, he's yes, it's Anakin, but he and Anakin are the backbone of this whole thing, and he's the one that we saw sort of start this whole thing, because Anakin was already Darth Vader. So you have Luke. We go through those 3 movies where he comes into, be probably one of the strongest Jedi ever. And he comes in the end of season 2, and we see him just kick ass. And we see a little bit of, what's going on with this temple thing. But for him to take the lightsaber and just toss it away and just be like, F it, I need to know what's going on with that. So that would be my thing too, whether it's an animation, even if it's another book, another novelization. I think they need to do something to help out guys like Mike and I, that the sequels were our least favorite of what's going on, and help us bring that back, bring it up in my scale. I want to be able to be like, you know what? Oh, now this makes sense. That's why Luke did this. That's who Snoke is. different things like this that are going to go on that help me enjoy that a little bit more, and I can piece some of this stuff together that I found a little confusing, or I want some of that backstory. So that's
Now I'll change my answer to agree with you two, even though Ron is brown nosy, and I have to agree with him.
Hey, wait a
Only
minute, this
if
is my show. This is not a guy who loves Star Wars. He just went first.
oh my
Know who's
goodness.
the boss?
Yeah. I would totally take that if we get Batu. Because like that dream of mine when the initial concept of the park came out, of like it being 100% immersive, interactive characters, and then now like the rumor is like Vi is not going to be running around the park as much anymore. Yeah, that's a bummer to me. I'm excited for some things, but not for others. I want more Batu. I want it. I love the book. I love the book.
Well, to Ron's point too about the whole Luke Skywalker thing, it's not as egregious as this, but it's like watching Attack of the Clones, Anakin and Padme frolicking through the flowers on Naboo, and then you don't see Anakin until he's Vader in the original trilogy. Like that's what we get with Luke Skywalker. He's happy ending, partying with the Ewoks, and then you see him at his worst, like 25 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin's mom died, his wife died, like everything went wrong to him in those 20 years between Attack of the Clones and the original trilogy, but we got to see that. With Luke, we didn't get to see that. Does he have a wife? Does Mara Jade actually exist? Does she die? What did Kylo Ren actually do to him? What did Snoke do to him? Why does he know Snoke's name? Like all of that is still completely a mystery to us, even with the books, even with the comics. It's all not there. So for Luke, there's just this, we talk about Maul getting Maul Shadow Lord and a gap in his story. Luke's gap is like 20 times bigger because it's 25 years and it's the most important 25 years of his character. So we need that.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of that in Starfighter.
Yeah.
Because
Lobo,
if that is,
go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, if that is Mara Jade, then I think we will get some sort of answer. And, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Derek.
I saw Lobo's comment that he was in Disneyland on Monday and saw 5 Star Wars characters in Batu, and Vi was not one of them.
Guess who just booked to go to Disney in May?
Wow.
Wait, when?
Like mid-May. May.
Well, so you're missing all the Star Wars nights because I'm going.
I know.
Because I'm going.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm going down there for like a birthday party or something. I was like, I'm not going to Florida to not go to Disney World. What are we talking about?
Did you say land or world?
World.
Oh, okay. I'm going to land because they're not doing all that at Disney World. So
yeah.
I do love Disney World more though.
Yeah.
Right, Lobo? Because Disney World's better. Their Batu's better.
Well, I've been to the Disneyland Batu 2 years ago now. So I've never actually been to the Batu at Disney World yet. So
it's better. Minus like that they're behind on doing the story thing in the changeover, but it's better. It's beautiful.
Which one's better?
Disney World, because their colors are so much more vibrant, because they have to, because the sun fades them. So
nice.
All right, Nick, what you got?
For my answer, my honorable mention is with you guys. I want to see either like build up sequel stuff or maybe intra-sequel stuff, which would probably have to be between 8 and 9 because 7 and 8 are right up against each other. I agree with the information side of the Luke stuff. I happen to think he's really interesting in The Last Jedi, which might be, what you guys finally put me in a grave for. But I think it would be interesting to investigate what I think is somewhat reasonable, that you don't just like get exonerated from the rest of your life when you do something cool when you're 23 and having to deal with stuff, and he, having kind of a similar, almost exact reaction to a really bad mistake that he has when he's about to kill his dad to when he's about to kill his nephew seems on par for me, especially if he's dealing with something. So I would like more information about everything that happened, because I don't believe he actually went to Ahch-To to die. I think he went looking for the first Jedi Temple for a reason, and also something like I don't think it's as clean as the three versions of the story you get in The Last Jedi that's kind of implied. None of them are actually really what happened, so I would like that. I also think you could accomplish some of the things that The Rise of Skywalker opened up in other eras, like we did with Necromancer. That sort of thing. So that's my honorable mention, but I would really like a prequels thing. We
Like
get
the
to,
Acolyte.
yes, and I hate to be this guy because I'm a prequel kid, but like we're good on the prequel time. We got so much Clone Wars. We got I think we're good for a while.
Yeah.
I would like the lead ups, like the Tales with Dooku, or everything leading into what we see in Cloak of Deception or Darth Plagueis. Like those things are really interesting to me, where we kind of come into the prequels where things are kind of shaky, and I would like to see what the Acolyte, I think, was starting to kind of scratch the ceiling on, of like, we're about to break into what really kind of creates the situation we find ourselves in the prequels. And I'm not necessarily saying like just give me Acolyte season 2, but I think they might have been hoping to start on a track like that, and I would be into it. Again, like the Jango Fett thing would take place in that time, the lead up, so,
and the prequel, like not just talking all the way back to the Old Republic, but the prequel stuff for a couple hundred years before, like even the High Republic books, I've only read through phase 1, but the story is there. It's really, really good. The characters are really, really good. Like there's so much potential in that era of the timeline. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, but I do have to get on out of here, guys. Great questions, Nick, as per usual. And this was a blast.
Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you being here.
That's nice.
So if you guys don't already, tomorrow, 2 p.m., correct? 2 p.m. tomorrow?
2 p.m. tomorrow.
I love Star Wars. Thanks again for being here. Hopefully we'll see you next week. And if not, we'll see you tomorrow or Saturday.
Of course. All right.
See you, Mike.
Boys.
Bye, Mike.
And then there were three.
Whoa.
What do you think?
Somebody off, so we have the rule of 2.
Sorry, R2. Yes, we know you're still here. Sorry, there's still 4 of us. Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you have any? You got another one?
I don't, but I'm sure we could think of one.
Oh yeah.
I thought we'd be talking way longer about Tales, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, we've got a pretty good argument in the chat going, but at this point, I think Disney World's only advantage in Batuu over Disneyland is the color scheme. I think that's it, unfortunately, because they don't have anything anymore. And Disneyland is, I think a lot of that has to do with the amount of people that can work those characters, because you have actors and stuff in California. Like the people that are actors in Orlando are at theme parks only. They're not like, it's not the same caliber. So yeah, I'll give you some points there, everybody. It's fine.
Derek, do we have some info on the poll? Have people been interacting?
Sure we do. Let's find out. So a overwhelming win of originals at 43%.
Wow.
Prequels were a minimal 7%. Sequels were 21 and other in 29.
There we go. So second place was other.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
What do you got in the chat here? What do you guys if you have an other, what were you thinking? I'd be interested to see what your guys thoughts were on that. So put that up there. I know you voted already, but put that up there and let us know what you got.
Yeah.
I do see the merit. Like I would really enjoy an intra-original trilogy something. Rebels is leading up, Andor is leading up, Rogue One's leading up. I think it would be cool. It would probably have to be animated if it deals with people we know. or not. You know, it could be like Mando style in between 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. Like, shit, I would love to see like a Wedge Antilles thing.
Mm.
You know, that's a guy that's like super underrated in the Star Wars character world. You know, to my knowledge, like, do we really even touch the original trilogy without, you know, other than books and comics? I don't think we ever really.
No, but you got Wedge in. Is it Rebels or Clone Wars?
In Rebels.
In Rebels, yeah. So you got a little bit of background for him, which is cool because I think he's in a couple episodes, and it gives us a little bit of a background, and because again, he's one of the guys that destroys the second Death Star.
Yeah, I mean, he's
him in Lando.
He's considered like almost Luke Skywalker level pilot, and he doesn't even have the Force. Like he's just
like a Finn, or I mean,
Yeah.
not a Finn, Poe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a bad dude. And you know, stories like that would be cool. Could you do a series of them? I don't know, but
I think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no,
You
I
were still thinking.
just kind of thinking.
Well, I was like, it just randomly popped up. I would love a series of Cara Dune as a shock trooper.
Ooh.
And to really see like how she got to that point.
Mhm.
And I think that would have to be live action. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And I think like those types of things would be the stories that you're kind of limited to if you're going to touch 4 through 6. Like it'd be tough to like do a Vader thing. We would all love it, but it'd be really tough to touch original trilogy time Vader. You know, like I don't know if directors like want to mess with that. You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah,
I love that idea though.
Yeah.
That would be
I think
fantastic
Lobo's
to have,
great.
like even like a not Starfleet, but some sort of an academy, and then you get the shock trooper type of thing. So you have a couple different stories with her, you know, going out, you know, some sort of Delta Force type of thing, or a SWAT team, or something like that, where you get to see, you know, some of the things that, you know, her jumping out of, you know, some spaceships and stuff, and some starships, and just kicking ass, and, you know, busting down doors, or going in and capturing somebody, or rescuing somebody, something like that. I think would be cool. But I think you're right, it would have to be live action. And for someone like her, it would be so cool because she's already in that MMA style of, you know, throwing around and fighting type of thing. Because I thought she did a great job. I think we all thought she did a great job, you know, in Mandalorian. So to bring her back again, I think would be an awesome story to develop and bring. You could have a whole bunch of different stories on that, which would be cool, because they don't all have to be about her, but she could be, you know, in there. She could be the main character, but
Just like Andor,
right?
Yeah, same kind of thing. Andor, it's like, wow, that's a lot of Andor, and then you're like, oh, there is so much going on. And you know, with her settling her stuff with Disney and whatever, like, will that happen? No, but could they bring the story back and not use her? Yeah, they could have a younger version. I mean, I would love to have Gina Carano back for sure, but they could do it without her, and that would be awesome.
They own that character, so they could do an
everything.
animation. They could do an animation of her character without, you know, using her, and have some voice actor that, you know, sounds like her do that.
Well, and they've recast people before.
Yeah.
Especially if it's earlier.
Yeah. It'd be cool to have like a series with a Cara Dune type of character, and how, you know, I don't know when did she leave, when they blew up Alderaan. You know, like I don't know, and see that, and see other people like her around the Empire during that time when things are really popping off and everyone's sweating a little bit. You know, like we see it with Callus and Rebels and in many of these other situations, but to see it during the originals, like during the height of the Galactic Civil War, would be pretty cool to see in a series, because we get it. There's tons of novels and comics and stuff, but we've never like had a series run during something that we know is, you know, happening other than the Clone Wars. You know, but I agree with Max Rebo. As cool as it is, sadly, it's really tough to touch the originals and get in there. And if we're going to use like Luke, like if we're going to animate Luke, for example, or Han or Leia, like I would rather have it post originals, pre sequels to like you guys said earlier, to sort of bring in Batu, do everything that kind of helps make it gel.
Like Ron said, just use the certain point of view, and then you have those characters, but like you can have their back to the person that's telling the story.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
And Cara Dune was off Alderaan during A New Hope. Cal Kestis wasn't. He won't. He won't let up on you.
Oh no, Cal survived. He's fine. The poncho protected him, and he floated out in space like Leia did. It's fine.
There you go.
No, but I think you're right in reference to that whole Cara Dune thing, and Melissa brought up a good point. Because some girls gravitated to her, which was a cool character, just like they did with Rey. And if you keep bringing this stuff up, not to be, whatever, but if you bring Finn back, you bring in Rey, you have a Cara Dune character, you're bringing these other people into this universe, because these young girls are gonna watch Cara Dune, or whatever she's in, doing that, and go, okay, I want to find out more about Star Wars. Now I want to watch the animation, and different things like that. I do have to say, I came across a gentleman, which I thought was just sort of funny, huge Star Wars fan. And, and he was a pretty good fan, from what I could gather while we talked. I think it was a Uber or a taxi driver or something this past weekend. And of course I had my shirt on, or some sort of shirt that said Star Wars. And he's talking, and I just can't watch those cartoons. I'm like, dude, you
They're
can't.
not cartoons,
Right,
man.
exactly.
They're animated series.
Not watch them because they're cartoons. It's animation. It's the story. And that's my thing about these. I don't care if you're 6 years old and watching these because they are cartoons and they're fun, or if you're almost 59 years old and watch them because the story is amazing and it brings these other characters to life. And that was my favorite thing about the Clone Wars, because that's what started it all, is to bring more backstories to all these characters, along with bringing new characters to us, like Ahsoka, in the Bad Batch, and all these different things, which is awesome. And I think that we need more of that to bring some of these other normie fans to watch and get into some of these other stories, like this whole Maul series. So I think that would be a great series to do with Cara Dune. Would be that was pretty good. I'm pumped now. I'm waiting to. I want to see something like that.
I know, that'd be awesome. Now, Ron, you bring up an interesting point of, you come across something. Oh, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. And like, I wish Mike was here to also field this question, because it just popped in my head. You get this and you instantly know they're not nearly the fan that we are, right? But at what point, when they keep going on and saying stuff not quite right, and they don't exactly like, and you're just like, I know more than you. It's like when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and they try to help you. At what point do you cut someone off? Like, because we've all had this conversation.
Well, I will say that during this conversation, and I'd have to ask Lisa the specifics, because her and Haley were in the back while I was talking to this guy, but there was a point that I was talking and he was like, oh, you're a way bigger fan than me.
What gave it away, bro?
So those are, again, you know me. I mean, you both know me. I'm not rude. I'm not going to be a jerk about it, because I want people to love Star Wars as much as we do. But in my mind, I'm always like, don't come to me like, oh my God, I love Star Wars. It's so great. I'm the biggest fan. And I'm like, yeah. What did you think about the Bad Batch? What? I'm like, you didn't watch the Bad Batch? Well, not yet. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry.
I get that all the time. Like, yeah. Nick?
Yeah. So little bit of a detour, but it's just going to make sense. Madeline and I have watched 18 seasons in a row of Survivor in the last like year or so, and we want to like 1 through 18, and we want to train her up to get on it, and sort of like dream of the net of our 30s to try to get her on Survivor. But my take on Survivor is like, once you think the game is yours to give out, when you think like it's in the bag, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Survivor, or if
I had a good
anyone
friend of mine that was on one of the seasons. Yeah.
Oh, so who?
Liz Wilcox. She's the one that freaked out about the Applebee's thing.
Okay. All right. Well, we can talk about this some other time.
That was the only season I ever watched, so that's all I know. That's all.
It's a Star Wars podcast. But I said when you're in Survivor, especially down to the end, if you start to think that you're sitting pretty and the game is yours to give, and you get to dictate what like how other people are gonna go out in the game, you lose. Like when you think it's your thing to give and your thing to sort of like judge the game or try to control it, you're done. You always have to be like aware of the situation. Yeah. So I have experienced like talking to people about Star Wars, and people who are not in our sort of like sect of the fandom are very opinionated. And I have at times like not been very temperamental about it, and realizing that I'm just a total asshole. Like, I know more than you, like it's not my thing to, I now know, like, it's not my thing to like dictate whether I'm talking to a Star Wars fan or not. They're a fan. They just maybe like really loved some of the movies and then ended it there. And that's okay. The thing that I can't get over though is like it's contentious no matter how big of a fan they are sometimes, and I really don't like that. And I've been struggling for the last probably 10 years with that, because that's how I know, like, I don't know, we all feel it. Like when the Acolyte was coming out, again, we're talking about it, like you can just picture the people that you run into who are telling you about the Acolyte and they never watched it. Like, it sucks. Doesn't Star Wars suck now? It's like, you didn't watch it. Like, what are we talking about? So I don't know. I try not to be like, I know more than you, like Ron Swanson.
Yes.
But
that's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, but like I want to hear him out, and I more so want to know like what kind of what this whole podcast is about when we interview people. Like, what got you into it? Like, what's your thing? Mm-hmm. I honestly, maybe we can talk about this some other time, but like, I feel like I can tell what type of fan they are based on who their favorite character is and like what they're going to think of certain projects before we talk about them, Mm-hmm.
Or if they even know about them. That's my thing, and I'm sort of like you as well, but I have to bite my tongue, because again, I'm grateful that they want to talk about Star Wars. I'm grateful that they're a fan of Star Wars, but when you come up to someone like us, and probably everybody in the chat as well, I want to hear your guys' opinion in the chat. Do you guys get this? Because obviously you guys are on here 2 hours a night on Wednesdays to listen to us talk. I know a lot of you guys are on Mike's chat, 3 times a week. So when someone comes up to you and says, "Oh my gosh, you're a Star Wars fan, so am I," and you realize that they're not as big of a Star Wars fan as they sort of projected, I'm interested to see in the chat what you guys have to say. But so put that in there so we can talk about that. But Nick, to get back to what you were saying, it's hard to not be like with this guy. He knew some stuff. He was caught up on a lot of things. He knew some cool characters and different things like that. But for whatever reason it was that I was going off, not on a bad tangent, but something that was something deep or something that's going on right now, he was like, oh, you're like a real Star Wars fan, Like, oh, yeah. But that's my thing, is it's like, I'm still happy that they're Star Wars fans. I'm still happy that they want to talk about it. I give everybody a card. Hey, check us out. We're on, Wednesdays, and we do some interviews and stuff. So check us out. Let's chat, things like that. But yeah, it's hard to take that. You have to take it with a grain of salt, I think, because we are the extreme. Everybody in this chat is the extreme where it's we watch everything. We're talking about Maul. It's not even out yet. We're talking about Starfighter. We're still a year out from it. These normie fans might not even know, about it.
Right.
Maybe they know Ryan Gosling's going to be in a Star Wars movie, but that's it.
I think most of the time, like, I get it is when, because I've got, a whole sleeve tattoo, and people are like, oh, your tattoo is really cool. What is it? And I'm like, oh, it's a Darth Vader, samurai Darth Vader in, like, the traditional Japanese style. And then I'm like, yeah. And then if you go up the sleeve, like, I've got Darth Revan and I've got a Death Trooper. And then when I say Revan, and their eyes are like, and I'm like, oh, or usually it's like, oh, that's really cool. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That's all right. I left that out. So they're like, well, your tattoo. And I tell them, oh, it's Star Wars. And then they're like, oh, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Then I'm like, oh, yeah. And there's Revan. And when they get the glossy eyes, like, I don't know who that is. I'm always like, huge fan, huh? All right. Well, I'm going to go anywhere but here. So,
yeah. Well, and I think everybody's got a good explanation in the chat. Like, Dave says, if they say Star Wars sucks, and so many people, I'm sure you guys get the same thing. So many people come up and say, oh man, I've never even seen Star Wars. Oh, okay. Do you hate me? No. I mean, I've never seen what's the one with all the blue people in it that just came out and does 2 billion every movie.
Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar. I haven't seen Avatar. That's okay.
No, it's not.
Jan, I think
no,
that's
it's not.
great.
Click.
Jan,
this is where I turn off.
If somebody knows who Chopper is, yes, they are a fan.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a good one. And Lobo says, yeah, I always just the movies and stuff. So it's definitely something that people are going to expand on it or say that when they see a Star Wars shirt, but they don't understand the percent who we are. We're that small percentage that is a huge star. And I'm telling you whatever you want. And I watch all the animation and I read the books and the stories and different things like that. So I think that's a funny, and I think everybody in here has had that happen to them. For sure, because we're here. We're Star Wars nerds. We're Star Wars fans.
And not to be like a jerk to people, but like, if people are like, oh, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I start, we start talking and they're like, I haven't seen that and stuff. As long as they're not like trying to educate me on Star Wars, because that's usually what happens. They're like, oh yeah, like this. Did you know that George Lucas has a base on the moon? I'm like,
my brother believes that he's a time traveler, George Lucas.
I mean, oh yeah,
yeah.
Him and Steven Spielberg.
I'm with you on that part. Like, it's less about like I don't think any less of anybody if they haven't watched, series or whatever, especially if they haven't read stuff. Like I know that's a different level of things, and these days with Andor being as big as it was, like I think it's like pop culture viewing at this point, kind of similar to if a Star Wars movie came out. So I would be shocked if they hadn't known that like Andor was out and was great. But like there are plenty of Star Wars fans who are really into it, who are primarily around the movies. I'm cool with that. And it's just maybe a sign of like the times we've been in since like the mid 2010s of social media really, really popping off, where there is like a hot take for everything all the time and everyone's trying to get one. Like there's constantly a look how smart I am at this thing. And you can, as you pointed out, Derek, with the question, like you can immediately tell if you're in our position when you're getting hot taked by somebody where I'm like, dude, I don't know how. There's no conversation that can happen right now because like
we cannot be friends.
Yeah, like
it's never gonna work.
But if someone comes up and is like, God, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. I just haven't gotten around to seeing the series. Like, I don't dock them fan points for that or anything.
Oh,
it's just like it there's a line that gets crossed so often, I think, with the whataboutisms and the when I have been called not a real Star Wars fan for defending The Last Jedi from people who don't know shit. And that like irks me big time.
Yeah.
And I had a really hard time with that when the sequels were out. And I've come around to it. It's okay now. But yeah, I think it's more when it gets contentious is where I do draw a line, but I'm not out here like revoking people's Star Wars fans cards.
Right.
Well,
because
and
they
I
don't know it like
yeah.
I do, you know.
I think Ron kind of figured it out too. I think it's mostly in Ubers as well. Like every time I'm in an Uber to go to Disney and they're like, "Oh, have you been to the new Star Wars park?" And I'm like, "You mean the land that's in a different park?" Well, no, they've got a whole park just for Star Wars. And I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
they don't." And then like I'm like I try to actually, I'm not trying to be nice because like with that, I'm like, I don't need you to tell me like tourist things when you're wrong. And I know what I'm talking about. So I guess like it's that's the hard part, but also like, just don't. Like I have only seen a few Star Trek movies, never seen a series. I'm not going to tell you about anything.
Yeah.
Except Brent Spiner telling me that he was Native American and stop recording him at a show.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, and like it crosses over into so many things like 50 Thunder just put in here. Like, Derek, you like how many people start to like tell you how to work in the studio?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
oh my gosh,
like
how the music industry works.
Yeah, all that kind of like people, it's just a natural function, I think, of how people communicate with stuff that they're into now. And it's like when like at Celebration, like fans are just so loving and happy to be there that there's none of it. Like it's awesome. But then you get in an Uber or you're at a bar and someone sees your Star Wars shirt and there's just like a one-upsmanship game that you already know you won. But like
exactly.
you don't want it's not even
I feel like you know? Star Wars and the music industry are the same thing. Like there's an artist that Ron and I both have worked with, and I still like anytime I was there, people would be like, I can't wait till he gets off the bus. Hopefully he'll sign my shirt. And I'm like, he doesn't ride the bus.
Yeah.
Ever. He's never been on the bus. And they're like, no, he's in there. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
He's at the airport.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Yeah, Nick, that's perfect. People are just like, oh yeah, Star Wars, and you already know you've won. You already know.
But there's nothing to win too. That's what's
right,
so
true.
Right.
It's like, wow, I'm a bigger nerd than you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, oh, you made up something to tell me, and then to like say that I'm not a fan like you are. Like that. What is that? What do I do with that? I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know. So
yeah, but then like you have the flip side, and I think I've told this story on here before of when I went the first time I went and got a lightsaber built. Or no, I'm sorry, it was the second time. I was with my nephew, and the gentleman next to me was from Memphis, and he was like almost shaking. He was so excited, and I was like, hey, is this your first time doing this? And he's like, yeah, and it's Star Wars means everything to me. My daughter brought me here for my retirement, and Star Wars was like one of those shows that had somebody that looked like me, and he was talking about Lando, and I'm like, man, that's really cool. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy, like, he's a casual fan. And then he started like talking about all of this stuff, and I'm like, more than I do. At first I was like, oh, he's just doing this because it's his retirement. Now I'm like, this guy has lived this his whole life, and this is like, it's real to me. And that's how it felt. Like it was just so cool. And
I get excited. I get excited when when I bet both of you guys, when I met Derek, it was at a function for our wives' work, and Lisa's like, oh, well, he likes the Miami Dolphins and he likes Star Wars. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm
That's
sure
I
he
heard
likes,
you. I was like,
he likes
okay.
Star Wars, but then we started talking and he's like, boom, 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 boom. And same with you, Kevin's like, oh, I got this, guy that likes Star Wars. You guys should meet up sometime, and he's like, oh, he's going to Celebration. I was like, oh, so he does like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that night too, because I was like, oh yeah, he likes Star Wars. And then we talked for like 10 seconds. I was like, this guy knows way more, because she was like, oh yeah, he's got like a little museum in his basement. And I'm like, huh? And I was like interested. And then you're like, you were just very casual, like, because Ron is just cool as a cucumber always. But he was like, yeah, so what do you think of this? And I'm like, do you know what that is? Like, it was the animated stuff. That was like one of the first things. You were qualifying me, Ron. Now I'm thinking about it. You were qualifying me. And so he was asking you about the animated series. And I was like, man, I love them. I can't wait until this. And you're like, and the girls were like, oh, we lost them.
Am I still here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. But Melissa said this, and that's how I am too with the Clone War stuff. You know, if they haven't seen it, I tell them how amazing it is, and the stories, and just the backstory. Besides just Anakin's whole backstory, which we get to see, all of these other things, and then I'm like, and then you get this new character, Ahsoka, you know, who has become one of my top 5 characters, and I'm an OG, and this is a brand new, pretty much character for me. And I'm just like, you know, this is so amazing. And then as people start to go along and talk, and you're like, oh, okay, and they know that, or they know who Ahsoka is. That's sort of like the key thing too, you know, besides Rebels or, you know, Clone Wars is, you know, oh, you like Ahsoka? I'm like, oh, okay, so you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's another sort of conversation that I'm sure you guys have a lot where you're trying. I feel like I put more effort into conversations with people who either like really like Star Wars, but they feel like there's too much now and they don't know what to do. Like, I put a lot of effort in, be like, well, what did you like? And like, what would be a good jumping off point, and trying to like figure out what they like and kind of gas them up for it. Or with people who have never seen it, which it seems even more daunting to them to be like, where do I begin? I put a lot of effort into those conversations and probably like scare them away, to be honest with you. But I put way more into that than like a casual Star Wars conversation in public. Because in a weird way, because the way our fandom works, like if I don't know the person and they want to talk Star Wars, I'm kind of like on my guard, because I know how our fandom can be. As you said earlier, Derek, like, no one will have more of an issue with something that comes out this year than a Star Wars fan. Like,
right.
So no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
I mean, honestly, that was probably the case when I was a kid, but I was oblivious to it, you know, with the prequels. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure there were people who were just trying to start something when talking about Star Wars back then, because people didn't like them. But it's just a little more immediate today, I would think, with social media and all that. And just the way we consume fandoms in general, it's always like, need to know everything right now. If my theory isn't right, then it's bad, like that sort of thing. So I don't know. But
well, and it's a great segue for this, because when I do start to talk to fans nowadays, 95% of the time, the first 2 things are, well, what do you think about what Disney did with it? And what did you think about the last 3 movies? It's like boom, boom. Those are like, yes, people want to know what your thoughts are, because they're think they're a fan. Yes. Yeah. And then, you know, and then I have a buddy of mine who's a pretty big fan, but you know, when after the Acolyte came out, I saw him and I was like, so what'd you think of Acolyte? Well, I haven't watched it yet because it got some really bad reviews. And I'm like, dude, you gotta go, you know, you gotta give it a chance. So I mean, there are people like that as well, which really sucks, you know, especially for the Acolyte, for, you know, for the 3 of us and Mike and everybody on this channel, you know, just phenomenal. And we need a season 2. And those are the things I think that sort of stink, that, like you just said, Nick, with the social media and everything that we're consuming in Star Wars universe, those are the first 2 questions are, you know, did Disney, you know, Star Wars is dead and Disney killed it, or what'd you think of the last 3? And I tell them that I love everything. There's some things that, you know, I don't agree with, but it's still Star Wars. It's still part of the story. You can't change any of it. There's still more coming. So again, back to your question earlier that you brought up, you know, what would you want to see, you know, added on, or you know, a little bit more information about it? For me, the sequels, absolutely.
And 50, happy birthday! Wow,
happy birthday!
Woo! My goodness, you're gonna be 50 with the 50. I love that. So I'm wondering, is your name then 50th under 26? I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah, I thought that before, but yeah.
50th under 26, maybe.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, that's a really, really great topic that I bet we could go on forever, Derek.
that's
Because
why I said I'm like,
all of us, like, how have we not talked about that before?
yeah. Let's talk about that again with Mike, because like
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, it just popped into my head when Ron said that about the Uber driver. I was instantly triggered about like 5 different trips to Orlando, and 1 to California. I was like, here we go again. Yeah, I would definitely talk about that more.
And it's hard. Like, I do think if I'm doing the best service I can to our podcast, right? The whole point, Ron, I remember when you started this, is to be a cool, good place for Star Wars fans to come and, you know, be sort of like zigging while everyone's zagging on YouTube, where everyone needs, like, rage sells better than anything, and like constantly debating stuff is all, you know, we got for years since like the sequels came out. And, you know, your mission was to be like a place that Star Wars fans can come to and like have a good time, share what you love, why, you know, talk about it endlessly. And like, I think we, like, fans like us do have like sort of an unfair responsibility, but it is fair to like make sure that that's cool for everybody, you know, and to make sure, like, in public, when people say, you know, oh yeah, what kind of Star Wars fan are you, to not like fly off and be like, you know, because it's like anything, you want to represent the thing that you love, but it's also something that you love, and it like can kind of trigger you a little bit. And I don't know, like, I think if ever there's somebody who like loves Star Wars, it's worth the conversation. And I you know where you stand in your fandom and how obsessive you are, but like, it's worth it to at least try. And I think the fandom needs more of that, of actually just talking about it. Because it seems to be like a sizing up contest most of the time these days. And we don't need any more of that, right? Like,
we're all nerds. Come on.
yeah, we're all like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like, be on your deathbed being like, God, I wish I did that more. Like, I wish I was in the Jedi Chat's comments, just dragging them more. Wish I did more of that stuff. You know, like,
well, and that's why I get excited when I run into somebody like you guys, or probably somebody in the chat, when they're like, "Oh, I'm a Star Wars fan," and they're like, you know, "What do you think of the Acolyte?" I love the Acolyte, or, you know, that's when I start to get excited, because now I am able to talk with someone and be like, yeah, well, you know, but in the Bad Batch, when they did this, or I can't wait to see Omega again. They're like, oh yeah, that would be awesome, you know. So you have that level playing field with them, and you're not, you know, competing at that point, I don't think. And I think when you have 2 Star Wars fans at you know, at our level, and everybody on the chat, you can have a good time talking about it like we do each week. And there's new stuff coming out each week, you know. And like we were talking about earlier, I'm a huge Marvel fan, but I don't like Jacob reads all the comics. He's all the other things and things like that, where I think the movies are great. And those are the things, because they're entertaining to me. I don't know. Most of the time I have to ask Jacob, like, so when Spider-Man did this and this, and how come he was, you know, or what about Batman here, you know? And he's like, oh, well, this matches up with the comics, or this doesn't, you know. So I understand that from the Star Wars point of view, because I've read the comics. We know that there's canon and legends, and that's sort of like that with Marvel. I don't know if they have a word for it, but a lot of the times the comics don't exactly line up with the movies. But I can hold my own on the movies. But if you start talking about comic books and stuff like that for Marvel, I'm done. Or even DC. I mean, love me some Superman, love me some Justice League, you know, all that stuff. X-Men.
I mean, I'm done with Superman. I'm not Superman.
but there's so many cool things.
We're done. Superman's a crybaby. unlimited powers, and he whines all the time.
He needs a weakness.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I'm on the outside. Like I really liked the Dune, like original Dune novel. And then, they're doing the movies. And I love the movies. They're very true to it, but like they're slightly different so that it plays better on a screen, and like Dune heads out there are not like going nuts over that. They're just like probably Jacob with Marvel being like, yeah, it's different here, but it plays better, whatever. They are going to have a Last Jedi moment next year when this next movie comes out. Cause I don't know what you guys know about Dune, but fans are a little divided on something. Anyway, to say, like, that's what do you guys want to know? I know we're on our Star Wars podcast, but
yeah, we're almost done. I mean, I like Dune. I think Dune is fantastic. I love the original one with Sting and stuff. So what are they talking about?
Well, it's not necessarily that. I don't know how it is now, but when Dune Part 2 came out, the same thing that happened with the first novel, which was like a sci-fi reader's dream in the 60s or whenever it was, 50s. When I don't know, does anybody know when Dune was written? But the book ends and like half of the fans, according to the author, understood it, and half of the fans like loved Paul. And so he wrote Dune Messiah to like drive the point home that like, no, Paul, basically like Paul's Vader, like Paul's not a good guy, and he's like grotesquely evil in Messiah, and like and the story gets kind of thicker from there. So like when Dune Part 2 came out, like people are now like loving some Paul and like, hell yeah, prophecy, he's fulfilling it. It's like, well, the whole point of the story is it's a fake prophecy, blah blah. And so like Dune Part 3 will come out, and if it follows the books like it has been, Paul's gonna suck, and fans are gonna think like, what are they doing? What they do to him? But it's how it works. Anyway, all that to say, like, I feel the same way on the outside as you do, Ron. Like, I don't know Dune that well. I know it enough. Like, I can hang. I read the 2 books, but like, I'm not going to like tell you how the movie's going to go. It should go that way, but I'm not going to like, I don't know like how the Sardaukar were formed, or I don't know like any, all that kind of stuff. So I can feel it when I do that. And then I kind of rein myself in on Star Wars stuff. But the good thing about all these encounters that we have is like, you can tell, like you guys did in 10 seconds when you met each other. Me and Ron, we kind of cheated because we met at Celebration. It's kind of like was an easy, kind of happy, celebration. Yeah.
Yeah. Ron and I were both, it was like stepbrothers. It was like,
you know right away.
Nighthawk.
Yeah. Right away. A friend of mine, BK, was in the chat earlier, and like, we like the other day, we've only met a couple times. The other day we talked for like an hour about Maul, and it was like, oh, here we go. Like, it was great. So equally, when you can tell that you're about to get a tough conversation, I think you can tell when you've met a kindred Star Wars spirit too. But all of that to say that Star Wars conversations need to happen more, and they need to happen in a much more like collaborative way. Yeah.
I think we've had a few people that have said that, like Dave said that, and that's why I love being on this show, because I may have been on other shows before that were not.
Well,
not anymore. Right. It's all about happy Star Wars.
I love
we do. We have been on for almost 2 hours, and we haven't seen this yet.
Wow. I can't believe that. I thought you'd play that right away.
No, I like to save it for the end. So, but no, man, what a great podcast. Thank you guys so much for everybody being here. It's so cool because we go in with a topic, and we started talking about do we have 3 different stories for Star Wars now? But 2 hours later, we're still talking about the new stuff that's coming out, the old stuff, everything else. And everybody in the chat is, you know, in there with us, and that's what's really cool. So again, everybody that's on here, thank you for joining us. Melissa and Max, as always, appreciate you being here. Jan, Dave, another Dave, the Dave that loves Star Wars. I know I've seen you on mics. Hopefully you'll be back on this one. Lobo.
Yeah,
So thanks
Dave.
everybody for being here and putting up with our Star Wars talk. We will be back on Wednesday next week. And like I said, check out Mike's podcast tomorrow and Saturday. Anything you guys got? Anything before we sign off here?
I like Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I love Star Wars.
Oh, do you? Do you really?
You?
How many tattoos you got?
One.
Hey, that's all right. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like when you talk to that person. If somebody's got a Star Wars tattoo, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They are pretty good.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but until next week, may the Force be with you, and we will see you on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.